right, so today we're going to talk about bird identification. I'm going to share tips. I'm going to share tricks. We're going to talk about what to feed once you identify that bird in your yard. And we're going to use our I hope you got your thinking caps on, like I said before, because I'm going to make you work today. So I just wanted to share this quote that came from the Journal of Neuroscience, a study that they did, and it's current, February of 2026. It says, bird watching forces you to scan your environment for subtle movement, compare what you are seeing against stored mental images, make fast decisions under uncertainty, and hold multiple pieces of information in your working memory at once. You didn't know that. Did you know that this hobby was building your brain? See? That's why you don't need Prevagen. We don't need those supplements because we're smart enough to do the bird watching. All right. Cheryl, click. All right, so what's a birder? So people who observe and seek out birds in a word are birders. See, we're birders. See, if you don't wear the hat that identifies you, that's how people know who you are. They have a major economic impact in the United States. According to U.S. Fish and Wildlife of 2024, there are 91 million people who bird watch from their house. And of that 91 million, 43 million people do it away from home. So we're not alone. It's pretty cool that we have that many people, and it is definitely moving up. See? There's more nerds out there than you thought. All right, so how do we identify? So how do you identify a birder? So you blend in with your surroundings, right? So you wear muted colors, soft blues, greens, soft browns, whether you're in your backyard or not, because that hot pink fuzzy robe and those elephant slippers aren't going to do it for the birds, okay? Yeah, I knew you'd be disappointed, Kevin, but depending on your yard, well, if you're out birding, a hat, comfortable shoes. We have binoculars. You need to remember that glasses reflect light, so whether you're in your backyard or out on a hike, your glasses could be reflecting out there, and that could be disrupting the birds. Fabrics rustle, so you want to think about what you're wearing. So you're wearing that windbreaker, that rustles, and birds are going to respond in the negative to any rustling fabric. You want to stay quiet. It's really hard for me. Walk softly. Another thing that's really hard for me because I'm a loud hiker. I am. My dad took me fishing only once, and the reason I only went once, I was 13 years old, is because for 3 hours I talked nonstop. And he told me I scared all the fish away. And I don't think it helped that I threw rocks in the water. Pay attention to where your shadow is. So sometimes your shadow can be casting light. Birds like light. They see better with light hitting their eyes. If you cast a shadow, then they're going to be less likely to be available for you to see. And a tip, the best result, do not wear white, bright yellow, dark brown, or black. Why do you think that is?
Oh, boy. You don't blend in.
Well, you don't blend in. Actually, a lot of people wear these hiking. Bees. So bees see yellow exceptionally well. So, and they view white, because they have excellent vision, they view white as a neutral sort of color. That's why beekeepers wear white. So they're going to be attracted to you because you're wearing white and yellow. Or, yes, so you don't wear the dark brown or black, because who's dark brown or black?
Bears?
Bears.
Oh.
So they will respond friendly towards you, but still they're going to respond to you if you're wearing white or bright yellow. They're going to respond negatively to you if you're wearing dark brown or black. All right, so what do we get out of bird watching? I shared that paragraph from the study. So it opens up a connection to nature, lowers our blood pressure, strengthens vascular systems, boosts our immune system, reduces anxiety, relieves stress, boosts moods, and improves working memory, spatial awareness, and I don't know what that last one was. Oh, and cognitive abilities. It also helps with nearsightedness because I'm going to encourage you to take in the big picture when you're out bird watching, whether it's your backyard or at the Gilbert Water Ranch, to take your glasses off and take in the big picture and see if you can't focus on the birds without your glasses, because it does help. The tools, glasses are tools to help us see, but you can actually strengthen your vision if you don't rely on them 100% of the time. All right, so everyone thinks that the first thing you want to start with when you're a bird identification is color, right? No, wrong. We're gonna put color to behind, to the back of the pack, and the reason is when people come into the store and they want us to identify the bird, the first thing they tell us is the color. It was brown. It was a little brown bird. These are all little brown birds that are in Arizona, actually in the Phoenix Valley. These are all little brown birds that you could, and this is not even half of them, that you could see in your backyard. So we have the white-crowned sparrow. We have a house sparrow. We have, where did I go? House wren, house finch, and the bush tit. They're all here. So that's why when we ask you, when you come in and you want a bird identified, we're going to ask you other things. Because people, customers come in and say, oh, it was orange and yellow, or it was orange, yellow, and black. These are all orange, yellow, black birds that could be in your backyard. And so the color isn't really the first thing you want to use to identify a bird. So up in the corner here, I should use my pointer. Up in the corner here, you have the Bullock's Oriole. You have two of them. That's a juvenile, first-year male, the second-year male. You have the Scott's Oriole. He's in the center. You have the hooded Oriole. And I don't know why he's the hooded Oriole and the Scott's Oriole is the Scott's Oriole, but I think it's because the hooded Oriole is wearing a yellow hood. And then this is a black-headed grosbeak. All of these birds are migrating now. They're coming up the pike, so to speak. So we want to go to shape and size first. So looking at size and shape leads us to the correct family of birds. It helps train our brain to recognize entire groups at one glance. So size and shape. What's the bird? What's that bird? Is it bigger than a house finch or bigger or smaller than a curved-bill thrasher? So Cornell Labs, because they're on the East Coast, they like to use this chart. Is it bigger or smaller than a house sparrow? Bigger or smaller than an American robin? Bigger or smaller than an American crow? So they go through the whole line. So they're putting birds in there that are, the red is what they're trying to help you determine by size. And the black is the bird. Everyone knows what a house sparrow looks like, right? I mean, in our heads, we've seen enough. Usually most people can identify a robin. Maybe not by sound, but by sight. And if I said American robin, you have a picture in your head about the size. American crow, for the most part. So that's why they chose those birds. Because they're so familiar. All right. And shape. So shape is length. Shape is how a bird stands, so posture, whether it's erect with its posture, like a mockingbird. Mocking stands, you know. I always look at the mockingbird to me as like the supermodel. They got those long legs, they got that erect posture, and when they come onto the field, they take command of their runway. That's how I view the mockingbird. So we're going to look at the wren family because we have our state bird is the cactus wren, and there's a lot of definitive with size and posture that we can draw from it. So we're going to look at the wren family. This is our cactus wren. All right. So the characteristics that all wrens project is an upright tail and a V-shaped posture. They have a round body and they have a thin beak. And the reason they have a thin beak is because they're mostly insects and they're scraping those insects between the crevices in the rocks. The cactus wren is the largest wren because it's 9.5 inches in length. So I want us to look at, these are all wrens that you can find in Arizona, and you can all see that they have the similarities, right? Right? We can all see the similarities. The V-shaped posture, the fullness, little round body. Yes, the little beaks. You can see the thin beak. They might be a different length because the cactus wren is bigger, but they all have the thin, pointed beak of something that hunts insects. So we have, the cactus wren is over in the corner here. Let's see if I can remember this. And then the Bewick's wren, we have the house wren, we have the rock wren, and we have the canyon wren. Okay? So if you went out to Lost Dutchman, you would actually, the state park, you would actually see the cactus wren, the rock wren, and the canyon wren. They just be in different places. The house wren is here. I don't know if it's arrived yet, but it's a migrant. It doesn't necessarily live here all year round. It comes in for insects. And the Bewick's wren, it's on its way. Now, if you're in your backyard and you think you have a wren, or you think you have two wrens, you will not have a Bewick's wren and a house wren in the same neighborhood because they hate each other. Okay? That's true. They're worse than the cactus wren and the curve-bill thrasher. Okay? They're frenemies, but these aren't even frenemies. They don't even share territory. The house wren is very territorial to the point that it will drive out other birds. And the Bewick's wren, although all wrens are territorial, it's a more laid-back bird, and it wants nothing to do with the house wren at all. So, but you can see their beak, you can see their posture, whether they're squatting or not. They have that V-shaped posture. Their tail is up, and whether they're all going to be on the ground for the most part. That's where you're going to see them, even though they can fly. All right. So what do we feed them? So they like mealworms. Bark butter and bark butter bits, orange halves, because just about every bird in the Southwest has a sweet tooth because it's grown up with cactus fruit. So orange halves will work. I have had a race between a curved-bill thrasher and a cactus wren, and it was with bark butter bits. So I put a little dish of bark butter bits in a few feet from me, and I knew there was a cactus wren in a bush. Well, actually, the curved-bill thrasher was over here, and the cactus wren was over here, and I stepped back, and they both looked at each other, and they ran to see who was going to get to the bark butter bits first. And the curved-bill thrasher won, but that's because he's got longer legs. So, and he took 2, if that tells you anything about their personalities. All right, so now we're going to talk about the finch family. All right, so we're still dealing with characteristics. We're actually still dealing with size and shape. So finches have conical beaks. That means it's shaped like an ice cream cone. You know, those pointed sugar ice cream cones, okay? They have stocky bodies. They have a notched tail, and they're seed connoisseurs because they have the beak for it. So a beak to a bird is a tool. That's one of the ways it survives. So you can always, not always, I should say, but generally speaking, you can discern what that bird eats the majority of the time by its beak. There's always going to be one, so I won't say always. All right. These are all birds that are here in Arizona that are in the finch family and share the characteristics. So I want you to look at, again, this is the black-headed grosbeak. You can see the notched tail, and you can see he's got a conical beak. All right. For crushing pine cones. This is, which one is this one? This is that's a lazuli bunting. You can't really see its beak, but you can see the notch in the tail. This is an indigo bunting. You can see the notch in the tail, and you can see its beak. All right, we have the American female goldfinch. Again, you can see her beak really well, and you can see the notch in her tail. This is a painted bunting, and you can see his conical beak. And he does have a notched tail, although the photo doesn't show that. All right.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that painted bunting, is that breeding colors and then he gets a little drabber later, or does he look like that all the time?
He's going to look like that all the time when he's here because he's here breeding.
Okay.
So if he's dull, we don't see it. That's because he comes from, that's a good question. He comes from South America, actually. South and Central America. Oops. There we go. So what to put in our feeder if we recognize that we have finches? They like, because they're seed connoisseurs, they're going to mostly consume seeds. Sunflower chips, safflower. They're one of the few birds here in the finch family, is one of the few birds here that likes safflower because they can open the shell. It's a hard shell. Niger is very, very much a favorite of the lesser goldfinch. Oil sunflower seeds, grosbeaks like those, and they like to crack the shell. And they can do striped sunflower seeds. There are larger birds. The grosbeaks are a larger bird, so I'm not sure if they would be on your feeder, but they would come to a treat feeder or a tray feeder.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
If we have sunflowers drying out in our garden, would this attract these type of birds, or these seeds need to be treated in some way?
No, they would come.
Okay.
They would come. And lovebirds would too, yeah. Because we have parrots that like the sun. Yeah.
Black-headed grosbeaks on my 2 feeders.
Oh, so they will sit there?
Yeah, when they were here during the migration, they hung out in the yard for a few days and continually went to the feeder, then they were gone.
Cool. All right, so that's good to know. All right. So we're going to look at shape and again, and we're going to look at woodpeckers when we look at shape. And I have selected woodpeckers that we'll most likely see in the Phoenix Valley, although there are, like, I don't know, 15 or 16 woodpeckers that live here in Arizona. I had to delete some slides. I couldn't cover it all. All right. So woodpeckers, chiseled beak, oval body, stiff tail, and feathers. All woodpeckers are a variation of the colors red, black, and white in North America, all of them. So if you see a red, black, and white bird, if it's not a, what is that, a painted redstart, which obviously you could tell the, painted redstart that's a warbler, then it's going to be a woodpecker. So we can see with the Gila woodpecker, you can see its chiseled beak. You can see that it has the stiff feathers. Obviously, you notice the color. And it has the oval-shaped body. And then one next to it is a gilded flicker. And it's called a gilded flicker because of the coloring on the inside of the wings. And it's a male because it's got the red mustache. And the Gila woodpecker is just, well, I'm going to cover that in behavior, but I'll just cover it now since we're sitting here. The Gila woodpecker is distinctive in its flight because it flies similar to a goldfinch. You know how a goldfinch kind of flies like a butterfly? It's like 1, 2, 3, and then it glides. But it's a little bird, so it does this. So the Gila woodpecker does the same thing. It flaps 3 times, and then it glides. So you see it do this. And so whether you can really tell what color it is, even if you don't recognize its call, you can tell who he is or she is by how she flies. I don't know why they do that, but they do. Probably because it's fun, because I think woodpeckers are smarter than we think they are. So, all right. So here are the selection of Arizona woodpeckers. These woodpeckers could be woodpeckers that you would see possibly hiking or in your backyard. So note the color, the chiseled bill, although the different lengths, their feet, so they have 2 feet in front, 2 feet in back. Or yeah, toes. Okay. Yeah. They have stiff tail feathers and an oval body. So behavior and habitat might be the deciding factors on what woodpecker you're looking at.
We will see the Gila woodpecker, the juveniles especially because they're smaller, wrapped around the hummingbird feeder, using the tail to hang on so that they can drink the sugar water.
Aren't they clever? Yeah.
That's one word for them, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So over here in this corner, you have the smallest one here. It's the downy woodpecker. Its size is what gives it away. So it's going to be very, very small. The males will have a red cap, but its size and its small bill, its small beak. That's a hairy woodpecker. Ladderback right there. This is an acorn woodpecker. There's our Gila, and there's our flicker. So they have similar characteristics. Actually, they have the same characteristics. They're just dispersed differently.
How do you tell the first two apart? Is it size or?
So there's a trick, and you eye the length of the bill, and you flip it. And so the length of the bill, from the tip of the bill to the end of the bill, and then you put the tip of the bill, and it should be equal to where the eye is. So if you can eye that, that's really how they eye it when they're out there. And then the hairy, his bill, when you eye the length of the bill and you compare it to itself, it's going to go past the eye.
Are they about the same size though?
No, the downy woodpecker is actually considerably smaller, but sometimes at a distance you're just hearing, you know, you can't. But a good way to tell is how big the bill is. That's their birding trick anyway. All right, so what to feed, because we love our woodpeckers. So no melt doughs, they love no melt doughs. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. Bark butter bits and bark butter, mealworms and orange halves. So I keep my Gila woodpeckers off my hummingbird feeders by providing them with an orange half, and they always choose the orange. We also have, you can use an Oreo feeder. I've had a customer who puts out an Oreo feeder, and they put jelly and orange slices on that Oreo feeder in the hopes of possibly getting an Oreo, but it's really for the Gila woodpeckers. So that's a diversion that you can use. All right, now we're going to get into color. So we got the Gambel's quail, we have the blue jay, and the cardinal. And what stands out about these birds is their color. That's what makes them recognizable to us. So let's look at the cardinal. Let's look at the cardinal. What kind of beak does it have? Yes, conical. And I know you can't see it, but do you think maybe it has a notch in its tail? Yeah. So, it does. So the cardinal's in the finch family. And if you look at the blue jay, it's got a thinner beak. So I know they're omnivores, but what do you think it spends most of its time doing? Insects. All right, so color and field marks. And field marks are like stripes on the wings, or with the white-crowned sparrow, the stripes, the white stripes on its head. Color, any bright or unusual colors might help clinch the ID, but if you can get it in the family, at least you know where to look, right? So field marks, pay close attention to, like I said, stripes on the body, wing bars, eye rings, and head stripes or spots. So what tells us that this is a parrot? I mean, I know we know what it is, but that's right, the beak. All right.
And
So
his behavior, those are the bossiest things ever.
yes. So up here we have the Bullock's Oriole, and we could probably tell that from the Bullock's Oriole from the Scots or the Hooded Oriole by where its color is. Now that we've seen all the pictures, so if you make a note of the color of the Bullock's Oriole, where its field marks are, then you can take that and go back to your field guide and compare it to the others and know, no, mine had white stripes on the wings, mine didn't have a black head, or the thinner stripes that are on the Hooded Oriole. All right, we have the Stellar Jay up there. He's quite distinctive. It's his color that makes him more, brings him out. We have the cardinals here. You can see them. They have the notched tail, the conical beak. Hummingbird. This is an Anna. And the male and the female both have a distinctive mark by their eye. So if you wanted to tell the females apart, just if you either through your binoculars or a camera or out your kitchen window, if you can look at where the eye is, it's got a white mark right there on both eyes. So, and she also has speckled. She's the only one who's going to have speckled fluorescent iridescent feathers on her chest. All right, so order up. So lovebirds. Lovebirds love oil, sunflower seeds, peanuts, tree nuts, and fruit. Dried fruit in particular. Hummingbirds, obviously that's nectar. Cardinals, they like sunflower seeds, mealworms, peanuts, white millet, and actually I have heard from customers that the lovebirds like the white millet. Safflower and bark butter bits. Stellar jays, they like peanuts in and out of the shell, bark butter bits, tree nuts, and oil sunflower seeds. All right, this is the most fun part. I find it's the most fun to identify a bird by its behavior. So we have the Abert's towhee. So what is distinctive about the Abert's towhee? The tail. It's got a conical beak. It's scratching, the towhee shuffle. That's the behavior that distinguishes it from other birds because it has a distinctive way. They have a distinctive way that they move the leaf litter and the rocks around. They go forwards and back, forwards and back, forwards and back, forwards and back, constantly. That's what they're doing. The turkey vulture, when you see it soaring up there, it's in a V shape, and it does a lot of this. So that's a behavior that's distinctive to that vulture. And then the Say's phoebe, I picked that one because it's a little bird. It's not very standoutish in its color. If you took a look at its beak, it's insects. It catches insects on the wing. So if you're looking out in a grassy field, let's say it's a vacant lot, all right, and you see this bird, and it's on this tiny, tiny stick that's standing straight up, like a little, and it goes back and forth, that is your Say's phoebe, most likely, because that is a behavior that's distinctive to it. It sits on the tops of the grasses and goes back and forth. It might like it, but what it's doing is scanning the area for insects because it catches insects actually on the wing, which means in flight. So it'll catch the grasshopper as it's hopping up, not as it's sitting on the ground. All right, so behavior. Be sure to notice where the bird is and what it's doing. So where it is in relation to, the ground and the area you're in. So is it hopping on the ground like the towhee? Is it soaring? Is it climbing the tree? Like what's distinctive about the woodpecker when it moves, when we see it? It hitches. All woodpeckers do that, whether it's the flicker or the downy or the hairy. It's moving up the tree. Or is it doing something like perching on your feeder? So there are birds that you're more likely to see perching on your feeder, like a house sparrow or a house finch, than you are going to see, not on your feeder. So over in the corner here, we have a black phoebe. So this is actually in my yard. Black phoebes like my bird baths. So that's why I have them flying around. But they're a phoebe, they're in the sense an insect eater. Well, we can tell it's an insect eater because Why? The bill. Thank you, yes. This is a spotted towhee, and usually they're at the Gilbert Water Ranch. So if you're walking along and you on the walkway and you pause and you hear this rustling, all this leaf movement, 99.9% of the time there's a spotted towhee in there, or an Abert's towhee. One of the two is in there. That's a red-tailed hawk, and they soar, so they'd be up. And that is a Gila woodpecker, and we talked about them hitching up the tree. Okay, so those are all things to take into consideration. Also, one of the last things to take into consideration is location. Location, location, location. Just like a restaurant. You are not going to say a penguin in the White Mountains. As an example, it's not going to be there, right? So you got to take in the whole concept of where you're seeing the bird. So that's actually the first thing. So you have, well, that's actually the Salt River. So what kind of birds would we see along the Salt River? Just, I mean, I could tell you, but egrets, right. What are other, right, ducks, great blue herons, hawks. You're going to see the black phoebe there because it likes the water and the insects that fly above the water. You'd see a red-winged blackbird. You'd see swallows, depending on the time of day, because they're after the gnats and insects that are in the reeds and the low vegetation. So this is the grasslands, where in grasses you would see a lot of grass sparrows, but you would see the say phoebe might be in there, or kestrels, because there's probably rodents there. What other hawks? Predators are grasslands, yeah. That's actually southeast Tucson. This is the White Mountains. So there'd be stellar jays. You'd have your hairy woodpecker up there. You'd have your flicker up there. This is obviously desert. We all know it. That's not my backyard, but that is a backyard. So there are birds that are, more likely to see in your backyard, like the Abert's towhee, curve-bill thrasher, house sparrows, house finches. So those are birds that have sometimes roadrunners, because birds have realized, most of them have realized that if we don't get along with humans, we're not going to survive. So they are adapting. So there used to be categories where you could put birds, like roadrunners used to be in the avoidance. They used to avoid people. They didn't want to see you, and they would avoid you. But now they've moved over more into being an adapter, adapting to mitigating what humans have done to the environment. Mockingbirds are a great example. Actually, in a new development, they're one of the first birds that moves into a housing development. It's a mockingbird. They are, what is it? It says when the world ends, it's going to be sharing the cockroaches. Well, I bet you the mockingbird will be here too. And then these are all desert birds, desert landscapes. So, like, you're not going to see a stellar jay down here with the saguaros. So, if you do, you'd be really lost. He's not going to be happy at all. So that's something to take into consideration. So we've covered size, shape, and size is big, little. Shape has to do with posture, so the shape of the beak, the way the bird stands, the way it holds its tail. Behavior, yes, what they do. So these are all things that you can observe. I don't know if you make mental notes. Sometimes I write it down. Sometimes I'm writing it down on my arm because I forgot my paper. But I carry a little notebook with me so that, because I'm not always carrying my field guide, because this is my favorite field guide, and it's not a book I want to have in my backpack. So I make notes. Sometimes I take a picture if I have my camera, and then I go back and I check birds off my list. But what I really want to introduce to you guys is bird song. So one of the greatest joys of birding is learning to identify distinctive vocalizations. And it is really a lot of fun to identify the birds either in your backyard or when you're out, if you can identify them by ear. And it's a challenge. And if you want to get really good, you can do males and females, but I'm not there yet, so we're not going to mess with that. But birds give both songs and calls. So a call note is to connect with other birds, such as an alarm call. So like the mockingbird, when that screech that it does. He's saying, okay, so he's telling me when I walk by him, he's saying, danger, 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 danger. And then if I stop and stand there long enough, I'll hear either the Say's phoebe or the house sparrow or the house finch chime in with the mockingbird, because the mockingbird has said danger, danger, and he is waiting for another bird, because he's telling other birds that he thinks danger is coming. Most likely it's my dog. Is coming, and he's going to wait. He waits to see who's going to respond. And if another bird doesn't respond, because he doesn't want to call over them, he wants their alarm call to be heard. Because the more birds that participate in that process of alarming, the safer they all are. And then so, like the towhee in the morning, who's going toot, toot, toot. That's not really how he sounds, but he's got that chirp, that singular chirp that he does, and that male starts it. What he's saying is, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And his female, she's not very far away, but he's a little OCD about it. He's got to know where she is all the time. She says, I'm here too. And so he says, I'm here, and she's got to respond, I'm here too. Those are the words that I put to it. So sometimes it helps when you're trying to do bird by ear, is to put words, put a phrase to it. So it helps us because we're very verbal. A song, call notes and songs are different. So a song to attract a mate, males are usually doing that song. So the mockingbird or the towhee, whatever, when they're singing, or the curve-billed thrasher's got a beautiful song in the morning. He's singing, he'll do weet, 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 weet. He's saying, I'm here. Then he's going to pick a high spot and he's going to sing. And the first who he's singing to is, either if he's got a mate, he's saying good morning to her, like, hey, baby, I'm here. If he doesn't, he's saying, hey, baby, I'm here, to who is ever available. That's the first part of his song. The second part of his song is, she's mine. So this is my territory. She's mine. So he's letting other curve-billed thrasher males know that that's his space. So their song has two messages there. So calls and songs are carefully timed sequences. They may be sung on different frequencies and different intervals, so birds can listen to each other. Isn't that cool? They don't talk over each other. So if you sit in your backyard and you listen to the morning chorus, what's called the dawn chorus, you'll notice that there's pauses, because that curve-billed thrasher, that mockingbird, is waiting. Isn't anybody else up? He's waiting to see who else is going to respond to his song, and then he'll continue to sing, because he wants to know who's in his neighborhood.
I've had them singing at night sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
There's
Mockingbirds or curve-billed thrashers? Yeah.
I couldn't tell you that it's loud.
Yeah, mockingbirds do.
In my neighborhood, they like a couple of trees, soon as the sun starts to go down, they all go over there, and you could hear them, you know, and it's bird happy hour.
Yeah, yeah. There's a whole soap opera going on above our heads. We can hear it, but we have no idea what they're saying. And to me, that's fascinating. So the larger the eyes of the bird, so like a robin or a mockingbird, or a curve-billed thrasher, because they're a larger bird, so I'm going to assume that they have larger eyes than, let's say, a house sparrow. They take in more light, therefore they know when the sun is rising, they're more aware of that light coming up over the horizon. So that's why they sing earlier. And probably, depending on what's going on in the neighborhood, they race to the top to see who can get their voice out first. That's why you hear larger birds sing first, usually in the morning, and then the smaller birds, as the sun starts to come up, 7 o'clock, then the smaller birds start to sing. It's all how they perceive the light that they're in their environment. Now, mockingbirds sing, and curve-billed thrashers, or those songbirds, sing longer because they see light longer too. So, and mockingbirds, usually if they're singing all night, they're perched near a light, or there's a lot of light in their environment, because they don't know when to go to bed. Because it's light, they can see it, and they're programmed to keep singing, especially if they're a juvenile male who is practicing. He is singing his heart out because he wants the best song possible, because next year he's going to get a girl. He just knows he is. Or it's the guy who doesn't have a girl yet, and he just has to sing and sing and sing, and one will come. One will show up because he is putting it all out there for her. That's really what they're thinking. At least that's what I'm told, that's what they're thinking. That's what I perceive they're thinking. So we're going to do a little practice. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with these birds up here, but I want you to take a look at the mockingbird, and then I want you to close your eyes. I do. I want you to close your eyes. You're not looking at it. Don't open your eyes. Just listen to it. All right. Does that sound familiar? All right. So we're going to take a look at the mockingbird again, and then we're going to close our eyes, and we're just going to listen. It's a long one. He's got a lot to say. All right. So the idea behind that is humans are funny. We're very visual, and so we have to sink our hearing in. So if it has been, I have been told, and it's been proven, if you see a bird sing, your brain will record it, and you will always remember that song. Yes. Your brain will pull up, like a Rolodex, will pull it forward. So what I was trying to give you, and we're going to do it a couple more times, is that feeling that we started with something familiar. So you would have a picture of that mockingbird in your head when you close your eyes, and then you're going to listen to it. So hopefully when you're walking in the neighborhood, you'll be able to pull your mockingbird song out from the other birds in the neighborhood. All right, so we're going to try a bird that you guys probably hear but don't see. So I want you to look at because they're sneaky. I want you to look at the brown-headed cowbird. That's the male. He's quite striking. So take a good look at him. And then I want you to close your eyes. No peeking. Peeking is cheating right now. All right, here we go. This is his call. All right. So now you can rest your eyes, you can open them, and then we're going to close them again because I'm going to play his song. All right, come on. All right, over here. There we go. So they're a migratory bird. You guys can open your eyes now. So they're a migratory bird, so they're not here all the time, but they're coming. And one of the most questions that we get asked most, actually people will call on the phone and ask us, I hear a bird making a gurgling watering sound. What is that? So when you're in your backyard now and you hear that, you will know that it's a brown-headed cowbird. It's very distinctive to them. And the female's the sneaky one because while he's out there at in your grass or at your bird bath looking so handsome, she is a strikingly brown bird. Looks just like him, only she's that color, that rich brown. She's sneaking along your block wall up into your tree, and she's going to lay her eggs in one of those other nesting birds' nests. Not a house finch, because they got that figured out, but probably a poor Abert's towhee or house sparrow, hoping that those moms are diligent enough that they will raise her baby for her. Yeah, I know. Makes you think a little different about those two, doesn't it? She just drops her kids off in foster care. Yeah. I'm like, and I have watched an Abert Towhee family raise a cowbird, and they're a large bird, and they managed to raise one of their own and a baby cowbird, which is really rare. That means that they were exceptionally good parents. And I watched a female house sparrow and her mate. I just noticed there's a dog here. Raise a cowbird, and that meant that they had to. All their other babies didn't survive, but this, because it took everything they had to feed that cowbird. And what's fascinating to me is that cowbird knows it's a cowbird. Well, it'll follow the mom, its foster parents around, and then one day there'll be a genetic switch will go off in its brain, and it'll go, I'm not a sparrow. I'm a cowbird. That just is so interesting. It's just, I asked that question. I actually did ask a bird biologist what happens. And they said, the switch just goes off. And I'm like, nature is just amazing. All right, so here's a familiar bird. We're going to do the same thing again. Promise. We're familiar with the verdin, right? It's a small bird. Hard to get a picture of, darn it. So we hear it more than we see it. But go ahead, and then I want you to close your eyes. let's take a breather, and then we're going to listen to their song. All right, so let's close our eyes again. There we go. Okay, so you've heard that bird in your neighborhood, right? So now you know who's making that noise. So now, whether you see it or not, in your head, your brain's going to say, when you hear that, that's what that bird looks like. So we're going to do the hooded oriole, because I have heard that it's here. I haven't been able to find one yet, but some have arrived. The males come first, so there's males here now. It's a little early. They usually don't come till April, but apparently everything is early this year. So we're going to get a good look at this handsome guy. He's quite striking. And then go ahead and close your eyes. Let's see if I push this button. There we go. This is his call. And then we're going to do its song. So let's close our eyes again. That's quite a distinctive song. There we go. All right. So now, if you're out there in either under some large palms, I hear they like palms. They build pendulum nests. So they like untrimmed palms, large older trees. Well, I only see them when I'm at Boyce Thompson, and generally it's in their that area that's across from I don't know if you guys are familiar, but they have that lake out there. So the hooded orioles are across the lake in that grassy tree field. I never go down because I think there's a rattlesnake in there. But if you stand on the area where they have shaded there and they have benching, I think it's something that has to do with Africa down there. It's like a trail down there that has tall grasses and some sort of low-lying trees. You can see them, actually. Before you can see them and hear them. But that's the only place I've seen them. They're not in my neighborhood. I get the Bullock's oriole and the black-headed grosbeak, but I don't get the hooded oriole. Now, Gretchen does, which is one of the reasons we did this, so she could see the bird and hear the bird that her app is picking up. So we all know, we all have our app, right? We all have a cell phone. And we all have the Merlin ID. I love this app because I can walk, but I want it to be a tool for you guys. I don't want it to be a crutch. That's why I wanted to share with you some tips and tricks, because you have it all in you to identify birds without relying on AI. Because sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes it tells me, I'm looking at the bird and I know what it is. And this app will tell me that it's like some rare bird that shouldn't be here. Again, so I go through all my little steps. No, you're wrong. I know what bird I'm looking at. So it's a tool. I just don't want you guys to depend on it. All right. So like I said, use your app as a tool, not a crutch. So relying on your brain provides better retention of information. Grows your working memory. Remember, you don't need prevision, so it's saving money. You're putting that in the pocket by leaps and bounds. You know more than your app. You've lived longer than your app, okay? We all had life before AI. Always take in the big picture when birding. So that's what I was sharing at the beginning. You want to take in your environment, what could be happening, what could be there, and pick areas you want to focus on. Because it helps you. It not only helps you to center yourself, but it helps you to, humans are so visual. We're so visual. We forget about our ears and our nose. When we were back, before we had all these things that visually stimulate us, we relied more evenly on all our senses. And when we were like gathering and hunting, we depended on our sense of smell and our hearing to survive. Not necessarily, because you don't necessarily see the dinosaur that's sticking up behind you, right? Or the saber-toothed tiger or whatever. You hear it. Even now, you wouldn't even see the mountain lion that's sneaking up behind you. I don't even know if you'd hear it, but you might smell it, depending on if it's where it is. But anyway, that's the idea. And our strongest trigger to memories is not even our eyes. It's not even our ears. It's our sense of smell.
So what kind of bird is that?
That is a raven. So also, I want taking in the big picture, like I said, keeps you in the moment. The longer you don't look at your phone. Okay? And this is a raven. We are going to listen to him. It's Gretchen's favorite bird. And I thought it was cool. I wanted to put it at the end because a lot of people don't know that it's the largest songbird in North America. So like, I didn't know it was a songbird. So the verdin is the smallest. And the raven is the largest. You don't have to close your eyes for this, but I'm going to play its call. It's all familiar. Yeah. So what is he saying? I'm here. I'm here. And he's talking to the other raven that is probably coming up behind him. All right. This is his song, one of them.
Sounds like those wooden blocks that you
Yes.
We listened to all 9 of them, and we picked the coolest one. We were like having fun back there. Isn't that cool? So who knew, right? So I always have to end on, see?
Grackles.
Don't they have a repertoire? They do. And so do though the birds we hate, the starlings. I love to listen to them. I love to hate them too, but I like to listen to them. All right, come on. Remember we didn't do that, Kevin? And now it won't let me go. All right, do this. I'll do this. All right. So this is it. That's all I've got. But I can take questions.
What about
And then these are my, this is where I got my information. Thank you. Pigeons. Pigeons is a whole talk of their own.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
They camp out at my house.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm reading this book called, it's a new book. It's just out in 2025. Lost Animals, Disappearing Worlds. And the first 2 birds that went extinct, actually most of the birds that went extinct, I can think of 4, were pigeons. So the dodo was a pigeon.
I'm not a fan.
Isn't that interesting? I just thought that was, it's in the pigeon family. It's in that family of pigeons. Yeah. Well, do we really know what it looked like? We only have an artist's rendition of what they look like and descriptions. I mean, the book is actually very fascinating because it memorializes, it covers 31 extinct species. And the species, the author is writing from the voice of the animal that's no longer here. So each, yeah. Lost Animals, Disappearing Worlds.
Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the author, although I really like her. She's very poetic in her writing. But yeah. So anyway, I just read The Dodo last night, so that's why it's stuck in my head. No questions? Did you guys learn something? Okay. All right. All right. So now you can go out there on a walk and you'll be able to identify a new bird, right? All on your own?
Was it two wrens that don't like each other?
The Bewick's wren and the house wren.